people in the airport having to go through security with a new machine called the full body scanner. Yeah, the full body machine. You know, it shows a really in-depth scan of the body. Sometimes it goes through the whole body, through anything, so it looks like people are naked, but you can't see a face. It's not the regular people that check baggage. There's a different section for it. People are worried about this machine because it might cause cancer. You know, they don't want to be seen naked. They have about 4 to 7 different airports that have these machines. All airports don't have them, and all people don't have to go through them. You know, airport security is a lot more strict for multiple reasons. Recently in another country, an airplane was coming to Chicago, and in England, in a newspaper box, you know, they found things for a bomb in there. You know, just that's the reason why there's more strict. Plus, another story, Christmas last year in Dallas, you know, a guy had a bomb in his pocket, and he went through the security in the machine. The alarm went off. So if the alarm goes off when you go through the metal detector, you have to get the full body scan. You know, and it's worse if you have to get the full body scan because the TSA workers have to come in and pat you down. There's a woman called Kathy Bossy from North Carolina, and she works for the United States airline. She's a flight attendant, you know, she goes around asking if you want something to drink. And she has cancer, but it's already been removed. She doesn't want to go through the machine because she's worried that the cancer might, you know, come back or get worse, you know, and she doesn't want that. So TSA looked at her and, you know, said, okay, you know, we'll just do the pat down. But she didn't want to, you know, be felt inappropriately. And the woman said, you know, I don't want that. I don't want to be felt inappropriately. You know, I have breast augmentation and I don't want to have to take them out. And the guy said, I don't care. You need to take them out. I need to see your body. You know, and it was a really unbelievable story. I wouldn't want to have to go and take my personal things out. That's called prosthetics, you know, something a false body part. She had prosthetic breasts. You know, maybe they've had a hip replacement or a heart pacemaker that might go off through the metal detector, and then they have to go to the full pat down. It's really bothersome. There was one woman, Marissa Miller, you know, and she had a prosthetic breast, and she had to go through, and she set off the metal detector, and her situation was worse. They really got in her personal space and had to check every part of her body. That was at the DC airport, you know, and really? You know, in the United States, there's, you know, 3 million people that have cancer, and all of those cancer patients are going to have to go through this full body scan and get the full pat down every time they go through the metal detector? You know, they're going to have to take off their prosthetics and put them in a box. All the cancer patients are going to be removing their prosthetics and keeping them in a box. You know, that's just too much damage. Another woman from Rhode Island named Marley McCarthy, you know, she went through the metal detector and set something off. And the woman had, a very uncomfortable situation where she was felt inappropriately on her chest. You know, she had to take everything off, all of her jewelry. And she was like, hey, don't touch me ever again. She was really upset. They really violated her personal space. Another woman from California, her name was Sherry Kiss. She was 66-year-old. And she had a pacemaker for her heart. And every time she went to the airport in the past, she had to go through the metal detector. And it'd always go off. But recently, she had the pacemaker, she had the wires go down inside of her pants. And she was really embarrassed because when she got the full body scan, she had to take all of that out. She got really upset. Could you imagine a person in a wheelchair? You know, they have to go outside to the ramp. You know, if there was no ramp, they'd say, "Oh, too bad, sorry, you have to go home." That's the same situation here. You know, it's really sickening to know that a person in the government would make something happen like this to take advantage of these people. It just really disgusts me. Another woman from Missouri, Talia Mengel, this happened 5 years ago. She had a hip replacement. She was used to it. Every time she went to the airport, the metal detector in her hip would set it off. So she would have to get the full body pat down. This time she went through, and you know, for a few seconds it was a new machine. So she went through, and she didn't have to get the full body pat down. Oh, she was so relieved. You know, and some doctors send a note that say, you know, this is no big deal. She has a hip replacement. The staff yet at airports are not prepared to use this machine. It is uncomfortable. If the workers aren't prepared, how am I supposed to be comfortable? You know, and how do I know they're not going to take advantage of me? One person from Nashville wrote a story about what happened to them in North Carolina. You know, and they were just complaining that they really felt like the airport took advantage of them. They had to go through security. They had to get a pat down. They had to get checked. They had to take their passports in their bag. That's enough. They were so irritated. Something else happened in Texas. There was a man, and he was 61 years old. He was from Dallas. He had to have a bag for medical reasons attached to his side. He was flying to Orlando, Florida for a wedding. He went through the metal detector and he set something off. So he had to get over to the side, and you know, he was embarrassed. He had to take everything off. How did this happen? So the bag, you know, the clothes were covering the bag. He had a catheter, and so when he took his clothes off, the bag broke and it spilled everywhere. He was very embarrassed. You know, and he said, I have health problems. Could I have a private room? And they were really irritated. And he said, I really want my privacy. And he said, okay, you can go into the office. And, you know, he put his pants back on and fit the bag properly where it should be. You know, if his belt came off, his pants kept falling down. And he was trying to explain it to the TSA workers, and they didn't care. They kept ignoring him, and he kept trying to explain it. And he had to take everything off. He had to take his long sleeve shirt off, and, you know, they saw the catheter, and they said, you know, what's that for? And